Again, market vitals, the levels you need to triage the market, audio and video currently not synced. I thought with Lee back that we'd have no production issues. Apparently there's still production issues. HFR from the floor, mistrade, Matt Davio from Davios. Matt, I got the Rub Me t-shirt on today because I am in a rub me kind of mood.
Mm-hmm.
How are you doing today, Matt? Happy Monday. Dog days of summer.
What's it? Yeah. Super dog day. Well, we got earnings coming up at least.
Something. Earnings season. All right, Matt, before we jump there, let me jump around. Jump around. And I wanted to share this, a share from Dave Ross. He's talking about how old he is and how great the Gretzky line was one word. But this was the Bo Jackson. This day in 1989, you can't hear the audio. Bo knows baseball, Bo knows football. How about Jim Everett, right?
Yeah.
Bo knows basketball, MJ here.
Yeah.
And then, it goes on for a while here. The best is he tries to play the guitar. Bo, you don't know diddly. Just do it. Nike, like Matt, much like Apple, a pioneering firm in having very cheap labor make your product, and that you are an advertising company.
Very true.
Right? I mean, I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And now we got the 2022 British Open. We talked about this on the way in. They tried to rebrand it as just the Open Championship. Even CB, people still call it the British Open. It's not the Open Championship. All right. They should just backtrack on that and reconfigure it as the British Open, which it is. It's never played someplace other than, the Commonwealth of the Isles. Anyway, Royer 9-1 sold. Xander, John Rahm, Scotty Scheffler, Spieth, Fitzpatrick, Justin Thomas, and then our guy Will coming in at 25-1. You gotta love him. He's been so close, especially if the wind blows, because the guy is so straight and he can putt. So I don't know. I think that's a great bet. By the way, Matt, your top 10 would make it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He'd be your 10th pick.
Yeah,
on spraying the field.
I got him.
You got him. I got him.
I mean, you got to go with it, right?
You got to. Yeah, it's been working. Why wouldn't you stick with it?
Why wouldn't you stick with it? Yeah, Rory's +9, Sanders, Scheffler, JT, a lot of Americans. Rahm, Fitzpatrick. You got to like him too. He's you got to like the bloke. Shane Lowry too. Yeah, and then Mark Kalla, at +35, 3,000. I like that too.
Right on. Hey, Matt, we bring it up all the time. The elites are trusting each other more and more. The bad news is the majority of people trust their elites less. Nowhere more evident than in China right now, Matt, as the breaking news there is a full-on bank run.
At least in that one city, yeah.
4 different banks. I don't know. It's interesting times that we live in. We're going to get back to the banking industry because a lot of the earnings this week are bank. But this was also out of the CME. We talked about the CME last week, Matt, and the full gamifications bringing out with them contracts, like over-under type contracts. But also, this is a great idea, I think, for them. We talked about it a little bit. 6 new E-mini sector index futures.
I mean, I think they are a great idea if they can get the volume on it. But
if there's any liquidity, it's going to be. And here's how you get liquidity. By the way, is there an easy arbitrage? Can the arbitrage geeks? That's what fosters liquidity. One liquid market that you can arbitrage against another is what builds liquidity. And if they can build it, I mean, we've talked about it ad nauseum, how much better of a break you get from the tax man when you trade futures.
Mm-hmm.
And how much easier it is to short any one
Yeah,
of these.
I've never understood why they haven't come out with more products faster.
Well, because the CME stands for the Chicago Meeting Exchange, where they spend most of their time in meetings, churning along like a giant monolith that it is. You meet forever, but they got this done. So it'll be interesting to see how price discovery evolves out of it. Matt, what I don't see there, they don't have. I mean, they have the banks, which I guess let's stick with that. The top one is the banks, and I want to bring it in with this share from Nick Gurley. Housing crash in Austin, Texas is getting epic. No buyers, selling, liquidating, inventory piling up in record fashion. June inventory gain of 2,132 places. That's 3x the previous record. Matt, it's hot in Austin right now. It's been over 100 for every day but 2 out of the last 60, and going forward for another 60 it'll probably be the same. Imagine if you're with your realtor and I want to go look at some houses and they're like, oh wow, guess what, 2,000 more places came on the market, so how much time do you got? That is an epic chart right there. That is epic. And we talked about this because so many people have moved to Bend, Oregon from California because of the mild winter, supposedly. And then they get here and they're like, mild winters are in Southern California, Matt.
Right.
That's a mild winter. And then they go to Texas and they're like, it gets a little hot.
And it gets cold there. And you get down to freezing there too.
It gets hot, it gets cold, it gets humid. It's got 4 seasons of misery as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I talked to some people this weekend that were here for a wedding from New Orleans, and they were like, wow, it's so nice here. Summers. I'm like, New Orleans? Yeah.
I mean, you can understand why
But it was also interesting talking to people from that part of the country who are, and they were older, much older than you and I, and they were very upset about what's going on with the country. So I was happy to hear that there's some reasonable people out there still. And, obviously they're down there in refinery country. And my son just texted me this morning. He landed for business in Houston and he's like, $4.29 a gallon. I'm like, yeah. Refinery city, you're by the refinery.
And that's still ridiculous.
It's still insane, but he's coming from the Bay Area where it's $7.50 a gallon, so it's a bargain.
What do you want to look at? We got to talk prices. With the banks coming up this week, and again, this Austin backdrop, like it's sooner or later. Yeah, I've read ad nauseum how this isn't 2008. The banks are way better capitalized.
Yeah, we talked about the investment banks last week. Let's talk, and we've talked about some of the large regionals. So why don't we just look at an ETF? KRE, which is the Spider Regional Banking ETF, peaked out here at the end of last year with the rest of everything $79. Currently trading 59, so off huge. I mean, this is off large. So, but the bottom of value is somewhere down here at the 44 level. This is just the 80-90 fractal out.
Yeah, where's COVID low? We trend COVID lows on every stock that we talk about.
I mean, you just have to. But the COVID lows, very slow internet today. Very slow.
G, let it go. Take the throttle off. I think we just froze, Matt. No, there it is. There's that COVID low.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It's way down there at 27, Bob. So you can still get halved from here. Why wouldn't we?
Well, you got a nice point of control there that it should respect and bounce off of. But again, going forward here.
Well, we already bounced off the point of control, really. We're right at it. So I would say the next area it's going to go to will be 47. We'll probably trade down into that neck of the woods. Listen, the layoffs are just going to begin, Bob. They're just beginning. You can't tell me, like, I seriously expect to hear car companies laying off people soon for 2 reasons. People aren't buying cars, not new cars, and they're not even finishing them because they don't have chips. So, the first chip company coming out this week is also Taiwan, TSM, Taiwan Semi. That'll be interesting, a real interesting tell, I think.
Especially all of these ones this week, Mac. The forward guidance is what I think most people are going to be really paying attention to.
Yeah, for sure. And how the market behaves. Just so let's take a look at Taiwan. Taiwan's, TSM, for those, not familiar, but AMD, obviously people are familiar with, and NVIDIA, but TSM is a big dog. They've been around forever. Big, and again, this fully topped and now coming back. Why wouldn't we trade to $20? It's at 80 today. I mean, why wouldn't we trade there?
It almost seems like there was something that was weird that went on over the past 2 years. When you look at all of these charts, like
no, but that's also why like nobody's got a game plan for this except for us. We're the only ones saying COVID lows, COVID lows, COVID lows. I mean, because that's what you had. Like as we discuss here, highs need to be tested, lows need to be tested. They just do, and we've kind of tested the highs. Now we got to go test the lows. So. Hunker down, you hairy dogs.
Oh, you hairy dogs. All right, Matt. Dog days of summer bring in dog days of content. Matt, I had a food truck in Sisters, Oregon, a sleepy little town. And I heard the story. You know what you get when you open a business in a sleepy little town?
A sleepy little business.
You get a sleepy little business. Exactly. So I don't know what else you got. I saw a couple of good threads on what do you call it? Not glamorous or dull markets or dull stocks. I mean,
I say it all the time, but it says like never short a dull market, and we were up 7% last week in a dull market. So there you go. Now if you bought Friday looking for the continuation, and that was the first time you bought, you're underwater already. So, but I mean, I thought this week you still kind of have, the market's bullish short term. As long as like on the net, on the NASDAQ, if we hold like 11,730 or so, we're still bullish and we're at 11,900. So although we're off 300 points from the high that we saw on Friday, that's not a huge, it's only a couple percent. So garden variety, it's very slow. I mean, you just had a whoosh off the, open, and then we basically are just consolidating and trading in a very, the SPOs are in less than an 8-point range pretty much today. So we're back to really dull. Like there's not a lot of, you really got to pick, you got to do your homework now in this market. You got to figure out where you would buy, where you would sell, and you have to take those trades. And most of them probably aren't working. For me, 12.2 was a good sell on Friday. So I actually was holding a bit of a short. I covered some of it because I sold it early in that day on Friday, and it came down almost 200 points, and then it came back, you put it back on, and now, today you cover it again. And I might buy down at 11,750 if we got there today, but we're not there yet. So I'm just kind of sitting.
All right, Matt. And what bank stocks are reporting this week? All the big ones, correct? Or
yeah.
I know you were going through it earlier.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people sitting on their hands waiting for this to start to unfold this week.
Yeah, JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley, which we've already covered, along with Taiwan, are all on Thursday. Those are the big ones that I see this week. Then you got Bank of New York, Citigroup, PNC, Progressive Insurance, State Street Bank, US Bank, United Health, and Wells Fargo all on this Friday. And we have options expiration. The July options expire on Friday also. So I think that will prop this market up a little bit this week, kind of have that continuation bullish hope trade, the hope trade, let's call it the hope trade, because it's not going to be. And then, I think then we kind of cruise into solidly the third quarter, settling in after July 15th. Like we're done with the holiday trading now. We got a solid 8 weeks of, before Labor Day comes, right? So I think, where we are, we're just kind of pausing, and that gives us a chance for them to chase it up so they can sell them higher. And, I think these earnings are, like you said, it's all going to be the guidance. The guidance can't be looking good. And
Yeah, I mean, seriously, how could it possibly look?
I mean, nobody's saying inflation's, unless you're Biden and the Biden administration, they're the only ones saying it. Inflation's no big deal, but it is. And we were talking a little bit about immigration, whatever you want to, whichever angle you want to talk about. But people are starting to get hungry in Northern Africa and Middle East, and they're all migrating. And the same thing's happening from Latin America. They're all migrating because of food problems. That's really what this is about. And it's going to continue. The worse this inflation and the farming problem that is out there. So it's not going away. I mean, again, Sri Lanka, UK, Abe, those are the first three kind of, socialist entities to fall already, here in the first part of the third quarter. And, what's next? I mean, there's a lot of unhappy people out there, and they don't want to just go swimming in the Sri Lankan capital or the palace pool.
The palace pool. How outdated is a palace pool for a leader in 2022? Matt Lee shares just now the Justice Department investigating whether the PGA Tour engaged in anti-competitive behavior as it battles the Saudi-backed Live Golf League. We said it from day one, but this, if this is criminal, if there's a criminal investigation in there, that's when you say PGA and then you say criminal, those two things generally don't go to. I mean, they try to be as lily white as possible as far as their image.
And as far as their player base.
Exactly. Exactly. Talk about irony.
Right.
Irony at its best. Again, until the Live Golf League hires you and I to do in live, prop betting.
I mean, we would be great.
$50 says you missed the putt. Schmales all left, right, and center all day long during the tournament. That's the way forward in sports gambling in golf. And then you got to mix in some 10 handicappers in there, just to make it interesting. All right, Matt, I don't know what else to talk about as we head to all of these earnings, or not so much earnings.
Well, again, it's all culminating kind of around the Fed meeting, the 25th, 26th too. So we'll reiterate this so people have these dates in their mind. But, Google earnings are not until right around that time. Apple's are all Apple, Google, Facebook. The Fed meetings are all happening that last week in January or July, excuse me. So, I think that's really, you got to point to that week as a turning point. And again, I think we're just kind of drifting higher right now, waiting for whatever the turning point, new narrative, et cetera, to play itself out. And right now, there's really not a lot of flow because there's lack of information, and everybody's, as you said, just kind of waiting.
You know what? Let me share one thing that I just noticed, and I'm telling you right now that this trade carried some people to the curb. I've talked about this 1 year calendar spread for a while now in Eurodollar futures. So this is DEES 22, DEES 23. We talked about it when we first started talking about it. DEES 23 was maybe 9 or 10 points under DEES 22, relatively flat. And then it went totally flat. Like, so people telling you when, inflation was going to end. I'm like, they have no idea. The spread, it's flat now out to December of 23. Like, nobody knows where rates are going to be, what the Fed's going to do, because the Fed doesn't have the information at hand. Right now look at this spread, Matt. DEES is 60, it's nearly 60 points higher.
Wow.
DEES 23.
Crazy.
It's like, that is crazy. That is incredible. This carried people out. I guarantee you there are people like, this is not going to invert by that much. There's no way. I don't know if it's ever happened before where the 1 year out yield curve has inverted by this much, but this is staggering to me when I look at it. And again, this isn't a buy or sell recommendation. This is a simple viewing of the facts that nobody knows what's going on. Right. Nobody. That is just staggering to see. Inversion. You got inversion brewing on your hat? What do you got on your hat?
I have East meets West fusion.
East meets West fusion food.
Right.
All right.
Used to be a truck here in town. They're gone. They
You
cashed
know.
in their chips. They cashed in their chips. I think they went to the coast or something like that.
Not a bad place to be.
Yeah.
All right, Matt. A lot of chatter in the grains as the heat and drought or dry conditions prevail through the middle section of the country. I saw in Texas, they're expecting the hay crop to be 50% of normal. The auction barns are full to the brim with people liquidating cattle herds there because it's going to be too expensive to feed them in Texas anyway. So cattle prices up on the day, but for sure going forward, again, there are so many moving parts in human systems, and they are moving at a rapid pace right now.
They are.
Anyway, be careful out there. Trade the chart that's in front of you and forget about correlations, because what shouldn't happen can happen, and what can't happen often does.
Right. And faster than you think.
And way faster than you think. All right, that's what we got, man. You have a great day, Matt. Thank you, Lee. Welcome back, Lee.
Welcome back, Lee.
Lee saying 440 gas prices in Iowa. Apparently, he must have been making the route into Iowa. You know, Matt, as you enter the state of Iowa, I know you know this. It says Iowa, a place to grow. A place to grow. All right.
Grow.
Dubuque. Oh, my condolences.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, you had to spend time in the Quad
I guess you had
Cities.
family there.
You must have been. Dubuque. Anyway. All right, Lee. I hope you closed. I hope you closed in Dubuque. You know, Dubuque, much like Grand Rapids, Matt, if it sells in Dubuque, it'll sell anywhere.
Grand Rapids is almost the biggest city in Michigan now, so hold on there, Gunpowder. I think it overtook Detroit.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
GR.
Yeah, I think it's right about at that number.
And that is the old advertising slogan, right? If it sells in Grand Rapids, it'll sell anywhere.
Sure. It's true. Yeah.
Middle of the road people. All right.
Nicest salt of the earth people.
That's salt of the earth. Yeah.
Salt of the earth.
Salt of the earth.
Yeah.
All right, Matt. Tennis is going to be warm today. I suggest you bring a cooling towel.
I'm lifting first. So
perfect. I have a chance to win a set then. We didn't talk about the Wimbledon Open.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it.
We didn't talk about it. Another fit. I mean, talk about a guy that is cognizant of everything and anything that he does and puts into his body, and the rewards for that.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what happened at Wimbledon. You had Djokovic play the young kid from Australia, the Greek from Australia, my big fat Greek Australian wedding. And you then had the gal from Moscow, but she says she's from Kazakhstan. Sure. So you had a Russian and a Serb that won Wimbledon. I wonder how all the anti-Ukrainian folk are feeling, or the anti-Russian folk are feeling. All they just got schooled. They just got schooled by
an old man.
Well, he's old, but he also
in tennis,
four in a row at Wimbledon. I mean, dude, he is pretty to watch. And the bromance, and you missed it, the bromance between he and Nick now is, he even in his congratulatory speech, Djokovic even talked about how he's definitely officially in a bromance with this guy. And apparently, so these guys didn't like each. No, listen to this. It's interesting because Djokovic, this is the first time he beat him. They've played twice before, and the kid Nick had beat him twice. And it wasn't in a major, obviously. It was, in an ATP event or something like that. No big deal. And the appearance money was probably worth more to Djokovic, so he just wanted out probably of the tournament, right? Give me the appearance money, I'll show up, lose to the kid, and move on. Let him, get some ego. But I think what was interesting is he didn't like him. And I could see why he didn't like him. The guy, he's the opposite of Djokovic as far as personality. He would squawk at his own box all match. He was, come on. He was like, come on, Dad. cheer for me harder. I need more cheering. Like, that's what he was saying.
You can't be serious.
I'm dead serious. Like, you have to watch it. It was like, that's why I said it was great. It was great drama because he won the first set and just dominated Djokovic. And then Djokovic just said, okay, enough of this. And then it really got the kid squawking when he was on his heels, right? And then every point, it was just like, and then he got in his own head and it was over. Inner game of tennis again in play as Djokovic would not take the bait and was just solid. And then the gal also was down the first set to the Tunisian. So we had again, think about this. You have a gal from Tunisia and then Kazakhstan / Russia. She lives in Moscow, born in Moscow. She's Russian. I mean, don't tell me she's Kazakhstanian. It's not even close to true. But she won after losing the first set. She swept in 2 straight also. So congrats to the Serbs and the Russians, AKA Kazakhstanians, because they owned Wimbledon. Beautiful, though. They had beautiful weather, Bob. Dry and gorgeous, sunny, no clouds. They were, I think everybody was happy. The patrons were happy to be back finally.
Hey, Matt, here's an interesting chart. Speaking of crashes, this is crashing up. And it's been on our radar for pretty much the beginning of time as far as a market vital stream has been. Mm-hmm. The dollar index now 108, and again it's going parabolic here. And when you see the news out of China, you see the best trade in FX, by the way, today is long Russia, short Brazil. Who had that on their bingo card? You could actually be short Aussie also. Right. And that's actually better. Long Russia, short Aussie, long Russia, short Brazil for FX bingo. Maybe we'll have a whole new segment on FX bingo. Right. The only card that continually pays in FX bingo is long DXY. I don't know. It continues to look beautiful on
the euro. The euro we talked about last week when it was inching to 103. Now it's down to 101.
101, and again
continuing
falling
on its way to par,
away.
80 cents after that, right? So the dollar again tonight, and guess what? A higher dollar is not good for equity markets. So just beware of these trends.
Matt, look at this bracket that it's broken. This is the monthly euro currency. It checked 2 months ago at the 103 level, where it had made lows back in 2000, late 16. In 15 and 16, those lows were more like 105. But this thing is collapsing. It is collapsing, and now room on the monthly down to 97. Remember when I had a similar chart of the dollar, the DXY on the upside.
Yeah, I was just going to bring it up just to talk about
it. Because this is the potential now.
Yeah.
Well, 97, that's the potential this month. Next month, it's going to be more like 95, 90, maybe 92. You got to pay attention. You have to understand the potential, and the standard deviation modeling does a great job of that.
We hit 108 on the dollar today. I don't know. Nobody's talking about it. Again, you don't hear people talking about it. Where are all the dollar bears that have been bearish since 88?
They're trying to find their margin money in order to stay bearish.
I mean, this continues, and again, it's just beginning to expand to that top side, like you're talking about. I mean, look at that. That move is just monstrous, Bob. 30, 101 here, all the way up to 108 after it took, 105 down to 101, and then boom. I mean, this next move, if you take this 88 to 105, that's 17 from here again. I'm saying 101 is probably going to hold, and then 101 to 118, 120. Looks like it. And it might happen, in less than a year from now.
Yeah. I mean, as things go parabolic, forget trying to pick the bottom or the top on a parabolic chart.
That's right. It's going bullish.
Find a way to deploy. All right, Matt, thank you so much. Thank you, Lee. We'll be back again tomorrow for another segment of Market Vitals. Please share, retweet, and plagiarize. Please visit us at marketvitals.io and join the community. Matt, we are gaining on it. I think I'm optimistic, mostly in the failings of narratives and people's realization that maybe the truth is somewhere other than what you're being pitched.
Yeah.
And man, have we been seeing some Nolan
Well,
Ryan
I think
pitching.
the first step has been entities like CNN, people just turning it off. Obviously, that speaks a lot. That speaks volumes. Nobody's watching these narratives, so the less effect they have, the less people that watch them. Nobody reads newspapers because they don't exist. And New York Times has already been, and WAPO. Like, if you're intelligent, you realize they're not the entities that you thought they may have been for the last 20 years. So
yeah, everything's Pravda.
Well, I mean, where until you have a source that is truly objective versus subjective, I don't know when that changes. So, we've just been in a world of all narratives and all opinions, but there's no objectivity going on here. It's purely subjectivity, and that's the problem, I think. And until that swings back the other way and goes full on objectivity, which we're not even beginning to be objective. So, and there's not even an outlet. So I think there still has to be an event, something that happens that kind of really rattles people and gets them, going back that other direction. But right now, that the momentum is still to the upside, still, for the liberal world agenda, that they think so, but it's failing. Again, Sri Lanka, UK, Abe getting assassinated. These are all signs that people are done with the socialist agenda. And it's falling apart. It's crumbling. The next thing is, when people, again, when the Europeans figure out that their pensions are stolen and they have no money, that's why they're keeping interest rates negative. They're going to be upset, Bob.
Oh, they might have a pension, but when their euro is worth 10 cents.
Well, it's both things combined. You got inflation, you got a declining currency, and no actual dollars in that pension fund. So it's the perfect storm. I'm just saying, it is the absolute perfect storm, and it's not going away. It's not going anyway anytime soon.
All right, Matt, thank you so much. Hey, do me a favor, go to Amazon.com and get yourself some rub. Shrimp Mojo. Blistering sales over the 4th of July on Shrimp Mojo. People enjoying blistering shrimp on the grill, apparently.
You're making me hungry. I want some shrimp, cheese, and eggs for breakfast right now.
You know what I did? We had some shrimp and we wrapped them in bacon with the rub on them. It's a very delicate process, by the way, because you want your bacon to be crispy.
Yep.
And if you just wrap raw bacon around a shrimp and try to cook it, the shrimp will be gone
toast
by the time the bacon is done.
Right.
You gotta pre-cook the bacon about 3/4 of the way through, so it's so crispy it breaks.
Right. But then wrap it.
Then wrap it. Exactly. And then wrap it. Forget about it. Shrimp and grits. Lee, I shared a picture. I made them the other day, or do you call it polenta?
Yeah.
You Northern Italians.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Speaking of Italians, James Caan, I'm not sure if he's Italian, but one of the epic Italian movies of all time, The Godfather.
And one of the few conservatives in the acting world. So
he will be missed.
He will be missed.
And his greatest performance was Brian Piccolo. I mean, Sonny was good,
sure.
But
so good.
Brian Piccolo, are you kidding me? What a fantastic movie. All right, Matt, thank you so much. We've been trying to add the broadcast for like 20 minutes now. Paulie Walnut's passing away too. Yes, condolences to just a couple of icons in the genre of the Italian family movie.
Speaking of Italy, did you hear about the 23-year-old American, of course, who was up there in Mount Vesuvius, or one of these craters in Italy, right? And he was trying to get to the edge, and he dropped his phone, so he went scrambling and he died. Going down into the
crater.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure
his fucking phone.
I don't need my.
I hope he got the Snap Insta TikTok though. He got it all done.
He got 6 likes, Matt. Definitely tripled his average.
Good.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Peace. Seriously.
Goodbye. That's the official end.
Goodbye.
Right on.